For years, nobody really understood this one episode. It's confusing, it's stupid, and doesn't make any sense. It's an episode that truly thinks outside the box. Yeah, I'm talking about that one. When this episode aired, nobody really understood how the box works. We all had our guesses, the internet had theories, some kids even tried building their own imagination boxes. It's all fun games, until recently, Nickelodeon decided to change it. Not just the rules of the box, but the sense of the episode. So, Season 3 Squidiot Box is a perfect example on how to make an episode revolve around such simple stuff. The episode starts off simple. SpongeBob and Patrick are standing on the streets waiting for a mail delivery. A big delivery, to be precise.
That's a big box!
But they don't care about the stuff inside at all. They take the TV out of the box, then toss it straight into the garbage like it's the packaging, just so the two of them could play with the empty box. Now, obviously, Squidward gets annoyed about it, questioning their stupid actions like usual. But according to both of them, who needs a television when you have
imagination?
So they set out on the imaginary climbing adventure inside the box. Now, a lot of us watching this for the first time thought, this is just a stupid kid's game, right? We all do it when we're kids. And that's exactly what the writers wanted you to think. They wanted you to question their logic. Because even though there's nothing in the box, they actually sound like they're having an adventure inside the box. We all could hear metal clanking, sounds of them stepping on the snow. Even when Squidward kicked the box, it affected them. Then comes the dramatic dialogue, the despair, the classic cut off my legs moment. But when Squidward opens the box, there's nothing. Nothing except two idiots sitting there. Squidward insists on knowing the tricks. How could they make all the sound effects, the scene? But again, their only answer is
imagination.
Well, Squidward's really furious now because he can't hold the fact that both of them could enjoy their imagination stuff and he doesn't. When clearly Squidward is the most artistic person in the neighborhood. So throughout the episode, we saw Squidward try to figure out how they're doing it and keep interfering with them again and again, hoping to catch the tricks. He tries to sit in a box himself. Doesn't work. He also asks to join them, out of desperation. But inside the box, he sees nothing except this.
Beep, beep, beep.
Arr. Boop, 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 boop. Ahoy, matey.
Beep, beep.
So, as the last effort, Squidward decides to just wait till late night, hoping to find some secret when they're asleep. Only to get carried like garbage. That's the whole story. Now, looking back again after all these years, this episode was magical. Not because of what you saw, but because of what you didn't. SpongeBob and Patrick never show us their adventures. There's no visual cutaways, no fantasy sequences, nothing. It's all just sound effects, great acting, and your own imagination filling in the blanks. Which, when you think about it, is kind of genius. The entire premise of the episode hinges on you not being in on it. Squidward doesn't get it, you don't get it, everything doesn't make sense. And that's what makes it so funny. It's such a dumb plot, but it works, because you're left constantly asking, wait, how are they doing this? And SpongeBob just keeps giving the same answer. Imagination. It's frustrating, but also kind of mind-boggling. Like, yeah, okay, that's not how imagination works. You can't just sit in a box and make helicopter sounds. But also, maybe you can. This episode is the very reason for me as a kid to go dig through my garage and find a box big enough to crawl into. Because some part of me believed something weird and awesome might happen. That's the kind of episode Squidiot Box is. But then, 22 years later, Nickelodeon did the unthinkable. They made Squidiot Box in Season 14. Yes, I'm not joking. They made a sequel for Squidiot Box, and guess what? They made sense of it. But not in a good way. Squidiot Box opens with straight nostalgia. SpongeBob rummaging through stuff in his attic. He's digging through old junk, Gary's baby shell, some trash, some sea urchins, and found the old imagination box from the previous episode.
Oh boy, it's time for imagination.
Only this time, the box doesn't work. SpongeBob and Patrick try to start the engine, but nothing happens. So they decided that they need professionals. Yes, you heard that right. Professionals, as in someone that understands the logic behind this box. And wouldn't you know it, there's a place called Imagination Box Repair. So this box is a technology then? Like a machine? And not some kind of magic witchcraft portal like Narnia? Damn, this ruined my childhood. It's a machine with parts and a guy who fixes it. There are terms like inspiration motor. There are models for this kind of box. SpongeBob's got an older type called double corrugated 3600, which makes sense since he got the box over 20 years ago. They asked the mechanic guy to fix it, but he couldn't do it. He said that the gasket was blown or something, I don't know. And since they don't make the spare parts anymore, he offers them another model called a cushion fort. I don't know what's happening anymore. SpongeBob is not interested. Said he's more of a cardboard man, whatever that means. So they decided to just go back home and tossed away the box. But then, the magic happens. Not for SpongeBob or Patrick, for Squidward. He trips, gets inside the box, and turns it on.
You must have jostled something and fixed it.
The imagination motor working, and from here, the episode goes wild. Squidward gets sucked into an adventure inside the box. Except this time, we see everything. We get to see how the logic behind the imagination box works in real time. In short, the box works like a dream. You just need to imagine it, and then it will happen immediately. Need a flashlight? Just imagine it. Need to move places? Just imagine it. We follow Squidward's bizarre adventure from here on. He goes to a wild tropical jungle with lots of dangerous animals inside it. Unfortunately, Squidward just can't stop imagining bad things, simply because SpongeBob and Patrick dictates it. Every time they mention it, Squidward just makes it happen and gets tortured by it. Because of course, it's modern SpongeBob, right? Scary sea snakes, clothes-eating clams, sea panthers, a jazz club, you name it. Oh yeah, and that too. They never forgot to torture Squidward's toes. They also managed to bring Doodlebob to the imagination box, which is quite funny actually. In the end, Squidward finally manages to get out by drawing an escape door with his body ink. This episode is leaning hard on nostalgia, huh? But the real twist comes at the end. Squidward gets out of the box and decides to go where imaginations die, Krusty Krab. Because after a long day of wild imagination, nothing feels better than the enjoyment from your weary, boring minimum wage job.
The good old boring Krusty Krab.
But turns out, he never really escapes the box. He's just imagining it. The end. I'm not gonna lie, the episode is kind of fun to watch. Aside from the torturing Squidward part, which I clearly hate, everything is pretty solid. But it also completely breaks the original logic. Instead of mystery, now everything is laid out. You imagine something and it appears. That's the joke now. After watching this episode, I realize now that this box finally makes sense, and I don't like it. That's kind of ironic, isn't it? The box actually makes sense now? We get a full look at how it works, what powers it, what goes wrong, and what happens when Squidward finally taps into it. And look, it's cool seeing Doodlebob again. The jungle bits are creative, and that final twist is low-key brilliant. On its own, the episode is actually enjoyable to watch, especially in the drought seasons of modern SpongeBob. But apparently, this episode got absolutely cooked by fans, for various reasons. Some said this episode just feels slow. Some said that this episode is just nostalgia bait. Though, weirdly enough, I don't fully agree. It's not bad, it's just misplaced. It's a fun modern SpongeBob episode trying to cosplay as a classic, but I also kinda understand why they hated it. It's not really a great sequel, especially when you end up ruining the first one.
Remember, you can imagine anything.
As I said before, that was always the beauty of Idiot Box, the fact that it didn't make sense. You had to fill in the blanks, and you were left wondering. The whole joke was about being outside the box. The box isn't even a magical thing now. It's just a technology. Runs by an overheating imagination engine. This feels like getting amazed by a magic trick as a kid, and now once you know the trick, it's kind of like, oh, that's all it was? It's not that special after all. The magic's gone. And what makes this sequel even more ironic is that Squidward finally gets imagination, and he hates it. This is the guy who complained he didn't get to play pretend with SpongeBob and Patrick in the first one. And now that he's the only one who can use the box, he spends the whole time screaming from sea snakes, jazz gone wrong, bubble tornadoes, and Doodlebob committing assault. Poor Squiddy. That part specifically is what's hurting me the most. If you've been following this channel for quite some time, you do know that I hate how modern SpongeBob keeps picking on Squidward. You have to understand, Squidward was left out of the joke. That's the key to the comedy. In Idiot Box, Squidward becomes the stand-in for the rational adult brain. He's the grown-up man, too skeptical, too logical for dumb fun. And the show knows that. They try telling us, hey, you forgot how to have fun with your imagination. He keeps trying to find the trick, the wires, the speaker, the sound effects machine, but there's nothing. Because the box only works if you stop trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, the sequel tortures Squidward for the exact opposite reason. He's getting tortured because he can't stop imagining things. This isn't the box of imagination, this is the box of disappointment. Because who needs a TV when we have our writers to torture Squidward for 11 minutes straight, right? I'm not gonna lie. This episode leaves a sour taste in my mouth. On one hand, Squidiot Box is fun. I'll give them that. The animation is solid, lots of cameos and throwback nostalgia jokes. The plot was also kind of good, especially the ending. But at the same time, I wish I never watched the episode. The downside of making a direct sequel to such a goated episode like Idiot Box is that you will walk in the shadow of it. People are going to compare it to the original episode and expect it to have the same kind of quality to it, if not better. But this episode is not even close to that, especially when you're also ruining the charm of the first one. You can't recreate a mystery by explaining it. You can't make a joke funnier by over-explaining the punchline. And you definitely can't top Idiot Box, an episode that worked precisely because it didn't make sense. They just did the exact opposite of what the original did. And if there's anything Squidiot Box really taught us, it's that not making sense was never the problem. It was the magic. Which, funny enough, because that's exactly what we talked about in our last video, SpongeBob's age finally solved. You know, the one where we finally figure out how old this guy is, only to realize the answer makes everything way more confusing. Yeah, that one. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check that out, because just like this box, once you try to make SpongeBob make sense, things get weird. See you there.